What are you expecting to see from Adelaide this upcoming game?
So we know that Adelaide has a really hard fighting team. They go for absolutely every disc, and if there's any scraps in the air, they're going to get them. So we really want to play really, really clean and make sure that we chase every single disc that's in the air.
Yes. What do you think your biggest advantage over Adelaide would be?
I think that we've got a really cohesive team that's having a huge amount of fun together. We wanted to play bold, we want to play with confidence, and we wanted to have exuberance on the field. And I think we've done that so far, and we're looking for doing that a bit more with Adelaide.
And then lastly, with the uncontrollables such as wind and cold, how are you fighting those on the field?
We don't worry about the uncontrollables. They just happen and they don't affect us at all. So,
yeah. Okay, good. What are you expecting to see from Brisbane in this next game?
They've got a very well balanced male line, and they've got a couple of girls on their team who have some very, very big throws. They've got some very fast receivers that we think that they'll try and put it to, along with two pretty nifty handlers in J-Mac and Brett Matzuga, who will look to kind of not allow us to break us as much as we want them to.
What would you say is Adelaide's greatest strength against other teams?
Probably a mixture of being unknown. So we've got a couple of players that are not known to the Australian community as well, who are very, very, very good. The couple of Kiwi boys in particular. And then we're very athletic. So I think being able to out-athlete teams is something that we're looking to do.
Great. Good luck in your next game.
Thank you.
And welcome to this exciting matchup between the Brisbane Breakers and Adelaide Dragons. I'm Joy Lee and I'm here with Claire Hussey. We're so delighted to bring you this exciting game.
Yep, bringing you straight from the Ron Barassi Senior Oval. The original owners of the land were the Bunurong and the Wurundjeri people, and we acknowledge them and their ancestors past and present and emerging. This is going to be an exciting game. We've got a very calm, collected Brisbane Breakers team. They're going with their 3 male handlers, 3 women upfield.
John McNaughton with the disc here. Adelaide Dragons playing a tight match 1-on-1. Brisbane Breakers skillfully using the space. Rosa Wayne going deep early, but now, wow, Brett Mazuka there.
McNaughton up the line to McGuckin.
My apologies. And first goal to the Brisbane Breakers, and that was just brutally efficient.
Yep, they did not waste a second. Charged up the sideline. Dragons need to control that pocket space because the Breakers were in it like they owned it.
They're full of confidence, apparently, the Breakers. Both teams here full of versatile personnel, but very impressive from the Breakers just in the opening goal. We saw a little mini taste of what we could perhaps expect in this matchup. McGuckin, some really blistering pace, but you know, John McNaughton, Brett Mazuka, Cat Smith, some just really penetrating and exciting throwing options from those 3.
We're on serve here at the start of the first set in this 3-set match. Nice lofty pull, giving the Breakers time to get underneath it. It just sails out of bounds, however, so Dragons will no doubt break that.
In this format of match, we've got 3 20-minute sets. It's all to play for in the sets. The team that wins 1 set out of 3 gains 1 point. If you win 2 sets, it's 3 points, and if you win all 3 sets, there are 4 championship points up for grabs. Kim Spragg walking the disc up. Adelaide Dragons vertical stack. Oh, and there was a hand block right on the point. Rachel Parsons there. Brisbane get going. Parsons getting the disc straight away as well. Grimman goes around the back. Back to Meehan. Di Warman on the mark. Di Warman was the #1 draft pick. Kat Smith. Brisbane Breakers content to just toss it around, keep possession. Grimmond. Cheng Talira, Meehan, and Murphy. That was a different style to the first point. Really well done. Patience and just waited for the right option.
Yep, used the whole field with short throws. Got the job done. Looking very sparky, the Brisbane Breakers. Dragons make the trot back to receive their next throw, their next call.
And just like that, Brisbane are up 2-0. And the main difference with this 3-set model of match, I think, Huss, is that you just more than ever don't want to let the opposition up even a couple of points. That's just so hard to come back from.
Yeah, you've really got to keep within touching distance, because before you know it, you'll be on 18 minutes thinking, now we've lost our chance. So you've got to keep within to be able to finish the game with a win. If it's a tie in that last, when the hooter goes, get to finish the point, get a winner. McNaughton with the pull. Gives it a nice man of air. Davis picking up for Dragons. Finds Kelly. And Neil. Got 3 men back to start with. 3 women upfield. Spragg cutting under. Collects nicely. Lays it off to Warman. Shad Fung deep, but maybe a bit too early.
So Warman to Davis, to Kelly. Kelly hails from Melbourne. And to Neil, whose hometown is Wellington, who pumps it long, looking for Warman. Warman is dominating in the end zone and comes down with it against her direct opponent, Dom Simpson. So there we have someone from Wellington hucking it to someone from Sydney. But the team synergy in this Adelaide team is pretty impressive. They've got on the board here. It's Brisbane Breakers 2 to Adelaide 1.
Yeah, and that trademark Warman flourish as she collects a one-handed catch is quite a nice sight. Brisbane Breakers being coached by Yu Un and Tam Davis. They're always close by on the sideline, giving their team words of wisdom as they come off after a point. They're ready for any offloads needed. Dom Simpson's having a good chat with them right now. The pull's up.
Grimmond to Meehan. Parsons. It's match D here. Trots it out to Murphy. Quickly to Grimmond, and Meehan is just so free. Her opponent there, maybe the speed at which that disc moved through the Brisbane Breakers' hands. Meehan was 20, 30 metres free by the time that hit her in the end zone. That was smooth. Hussey, what do you think? So the Brisbane offense has just looked so unstoppable. You know, really fluid and solid in a different point as well. They've got options clearly. What can the opposition do to try and disrupt that?
Well, I think Brisbane Breakers are, living up to their name. They can break at will, so Dragons need to find a way to control some of the throwing options that the Breakers have. They need to maybe try zone, or at least stick with a very clear force, so that Breakers only have certain other options. At the moment, it's just a bit of a walk in the park for them on the throwing side of things. Davis now picking up, finds Neil. Wanting a dump. Doesn't get one, so sticks it to Kelly, who's got speed, and overtakes Meehan in the end zone to catch the goal.
What a speedy guy. So Meehan, definitely not slow, very speedy herself, but Kelly just accelerated and ran past Meehan to grab that goal. Yeah, count was getting high there, but Neil good enough to just put a perfect throw up to Kelly. It's a really good understanding between those two.
Yeah, Neil's very classy offensive player. Pretty much decides what he wants and asks for it, and if he can't take it, he's got another option because he's got a great range of throws, great vision of the field.
Yeah, so this Adelaide team have actually got the two, they've got the #1 draft picks for men and women. So Di Warman, female #1 draft pick, and Aaron Neal was the male #1. And getting good value out of those two players so far in this matchup for sure.
Thomas Della with the pull. McNaughton to Matsuka. The US import Slee goes with this classic high release flick. And a beautiful stick from McGuckin. Simpson, out of her reach. She actually slowed down at the end, so she must have known it was way out.
Yeah, a very good, it's a very tempting option, isn't it? Simpson going deep. Tall, fast, can reach and read the disc as well, so that must have been, yeah, as I say.
Yeah, just a bit of an execution error, I think. Sarah Lee gets it moving fast, straight off the line, and then goes to get the return, but it's not on, marked closely by Wang. Big stick for Neil, and Della is looking to eat that up, no problems for him. Dunmore also streaking deep with pace, turns in the end zone, misreads it slightly, and it pings off her hand. An apology from Della for the throw.
Yeah, a little bit keen there. Definitely a good option there as well, looking for Dunmore in the end zone. That was Robertson who pumped it long to Della. It was a beautiful flat throw to Della. A disc with beautiful touch. Finds Mueller to McGuckin. Brisbane has spread quite deep here as McNaughton finds Parson. We've got McGuckin going long, but he's very closely marked.
Mueller now with the disc, finds McNaughton again. Lovely hammer over to Matsuka. Those two will throw hammers every chance they can get. If not, it'll be a high release. Matsuka goes round, finds McGuckin deep in the end zone. His Brisbane Breakers stack nice and still, allowing space for McGuckin to do his business. 4-3, Brisbane Breakers in the first set.
And, you know, really tight set here. It's really good to see. We're about halfway through the first set. And it's gone really much to plan for offense, I would say, for both teams. Both this Adelaide team and Brisbane Breakers have got different styles. Adelaide tend to set a bit deeper, and Brisbane use a bit more variety in their setups. But we've seen some really gorgeous and skillful throws. The wind is not so much of an issue at the moment. Just a light breeze coming from right to left on your screens, and all these players definitely good enough to slice through that.
Yeah, Brisbane Breakers have got the break advantage at the moment. And Kelly fields the pull, centres it to Davis, who finds Mandy Fung. Lays off quickly, gets going again. Kelly's held up a bit here, but finds a nice up the line to Neil. Centred again, and across to Spragg, who does a nice layoff. Kelly looking back to Spragg in the centre. Warman working hard upfield, trying to get open with a few lateral cuts.
Spragg being really key here. They've been held up a little bit on the sidelines, and Spragg is always there in the middle. Oh, as Murphy gets up and a diving Neil can't hang on to it. Murphy really elevated as he just sprints off to the end zone, but Grimmond looks laterally, calms things down.
Great block from Murphy. Smith now looking to control this offense, goes for the big wind up, sticks it up to Meehan. Can she run it down? Just out of her reach. Didn't even get a chance to bid on that. Meehan likes to run all day, so that sort of thing's not going to take it out of her. She'll try again later.
Davis walking up. A horizontalish stack from Adelaide, quite deep, as Kelly has possession of the disc. Warman, and is looking at Davis going long. Is she going to release it? Yes. Of the height mismatch here, and Grimmond uses that to his advantage, just reels it in.
Snaffles that like dinner. Min now. She's got Murphy coming under for her, but Mandy Fung peels off to cover that option. Finds Cat Smith instead, winding up again, goes for the huck again. She's got 3 options. Who's going to read it and jump best?
Oh,
Cheng.
wow. They were lining up to get a piece of that. My money was on Murphy, who really elevated to get that D before, and he was amongst the mix, but Cheng got up so high, as Claire Hussey might say, snaffled like dinner. Well done, Brisbane Breakers.
So nudging ahead now, 5-3 Breakers.
Yeah, Cheng just timing his jump there really well. I think Murphy probably had better position, but Cheng just with precision timing on the jump.
Sprague was in the mix, the only defender close. And Cheng just had the timing and the hops too.
Cheng's got such a lovely relaxed style, you know, just sauntered into that, timed his jump perfectly, got it really high and caught the goal. It's McGuckin, sends the pull.
Della. 1-2 with Neil. Dunmore now. Open under. Fakes a big one. Goes around the back. Finds Della again, who was keen for a put. But Robertson was maybe not separated enough. Now Sprague. A lot of throwing power in this team. Sprague goes over the top with an around. Classically, her old team Rogue would love that option, but didn't work out on this team. Matsuka winds up for the upside down and takes it, and Wang goes with a lefty flick up the line, right into McGuckin's path, who catches the goal for a 6-3 lead.
Brisbane Breakers so ruthless when they get the chance. We saw the little scuba of Matsuka, and you know, not too many players use the scuba in such a way. You know, he's just got such nice touch on that. So we see this upside down to Wang, who just sent a pinpoint curvy throw to McGuckin, who was just so open.
Yeah, I really love the way the Brisbane Breakers used their whole roster. The disc moves through everybody. It was the same last season, 2018 AUL, and with a slightly stronger roster this year, I think it's really doing them a great service. Everyone's involved, everyone's having fun, and everyone's contributing. We've got 4 minutes left of the set, with Brisbane Breakers up 6-3. The Adelaide Dragons really need to get a few quick goals if they're going to have a say in this set.
Yeah, and I reckon if you were lining up against the Brisbane Breakers, you just feel that time they suck time away from you. It was evens, and all of a sudden they're 3 points ahead, you know, very quickly. Neil pumps it to the end zone, looking for Warman. Is this going to be a quick point? And yes. Not quite in. Warman still. She's got Fung in the end zone. Michaela Dunmore in front of her as well. Oh.
Interesting choice for a dump option there. She wanted to get it over the top of everyone that was surrounding her, but it was the wrong direction for her receiver. And now Cat Smith has got it in a very strong position with her teammates flooding deep, and Parsons goes for the easy up the line to Lachlan Murphy. They've put themselves in a really strong position now, the Brisbane Breakers.
There you go, and perhaps, you know, we've just ticked over to about 17 minutes in this set. It's 7-3 to the Breakers, and surely that's got to be set done. You know, it's a really hard road from here.
Yeah, I wonder if Woman's kicking herself for that. She, you know, she didn't have any options, and then she wanted to reset it, but she chose a difficult throw. to get herself out of trouble there, and it didn't pay off.
Brisbane really content, you know, they're not reluctant to send the disc into anyone's hands here. The disc moves really quickly through many players' possessions, and that's a real strength. It's very hard to shut that down as a defensive team.
Nicely sitting up Paul. Breakers kind of jogging down though, not really taking advantage of that. And Dragons get it moving. Sprag to Della. Della wants to reset, goes over the top to Sarah Lee. It was an upside downy and she didn't get control of it. Quick turnover. Maybe looking at a couple more points for the set. McNaughton and Mitsuka working it at the back. There's a pick call or something.
Hey, end zone play, end zone play.
Foul call.
Someone figure out an end zone play. We haven't practiced this.
Uncontested foul, disc comes back in. Rosa Wang cutting to the break side. McNaughton goes for the up the line to Mitsuka. They've got great communication between the two of them. Mitsuka goes over the top, finds McGuckin easily alone in the end zone corner. That lovely hammer. Breakers 8-3 up with nearly just over a minute to go. Just playing for pleasure now in this set, my friends. Which at the end of the day is what Ultimate's all about, so happy days.
Less than 1 minute.
Yeah, Brisbane Breakers feeling pretty good about how this first set's turned out.
The air's cooling off a little now. It's been about 12-13 degrees here in Melbourne. It's just dropping a little bit. The wind's just been very steady from right to left on the screen. And McNaughton comes out with a roller pull that's stopped very quickly, and Dragons get it moving. Warman has it. Goes over the top.
Yep, she's wasted no time, and Dunmore, yeah, nicely done. Surrounded by a couple of defenders there, but reels it in, makes a bit of a statement. It's perhaps too late for this set, as time is called, I believe, for this first set. But that set them up nicely for the rest of this game. So as we see, Warman absolutely ripping that. Dunmore, she's no stranger to going long. Let's Parsons know about it as well. Nice grab. We will be back after a short break for set number 2. to this match between Brisbane Breakers and Adelaide Dragons. And the story so far is that Brisbane taken the first set 8-4. It was a fairly comprehensive, you would say, win of that set. Early on, tightly contested, but Brisbane just drew away. And we were commenting here, the disc moves so rapidly through all their players. They really use their whole squad. It was impressive to see.
Yeah, and the beauty of the format with 3 sets is that the slate is wiped clean for set 2. I mean, the Brisbane Breakers are guaranteed 1 championship point at least, but now the Dragons have a chance to get their own championship points on the board, and each set doesn't influence the other. So Brisbane are pulling, mirroring the start of the game where Adelaide pulled. So we'll be looking for a clean offense from Adelaide, who had a bit of trouble scoring throughout the first set. Only pulling off 4 for Brisbane's 8.
Braden Cheng gets set 2 underway. Pulling to Adelaide. Neil to Warman. 2 tall handlers. Adelaide coming out of vertical stack. And hits Kelly, showing speed straight out and straight away. Looking for Robertson. Oh, despite his speed, just a bit too far. That's a bold play as the first point in the set, but you know, you got to go for things.
Yep, speedy legs and a speedy whip of the arm to get that disc out. A bit too much whip for Robertson.
Okay, we've got Grimmond here and attacks the break side to Murphy with the overhead throw. Murphy to Meehan. Using the entire field here, Brisbane Breakers. Oof, Grimmond uses his pace. He's just gone to the end zone, and Cat Smith sees it and is Grimmond, one-handed take. And Braden Cheng started the point off, scores the goal. Nicely done, Brisbane Breakers.
So efficient when they get going. They just move the disc straight to their receivers. You know, plucking everything out cleanly. Grimmond really looking springy and everything's easy for him.
You know, it's a really attractive play, isn't it, when you see things like that. Grimmond going deep and Cat Smith respecting that or deciding to go for that. Wasn't a huge amount of separation as we can see, but just trusting the receiver there. Grimmond good enough and Cheng finishing it off.
Yeah, and he had options for that finishing goal. Good communication with words and signs, hand signals, gestures. Good communication is really important for an effective performance in sport, obviously. Norton, his trademark floaty pull, collected by Neil. Finds Sprague. And Warman on the far sideline. Just having a look around, there's a zoney look. No, it's just a slowly setting match defence. But Dunmore's completely unmarked over here, with Mueller sagging deep.
Yeah, we've got Mueller. Mueller's parked deep, and that's why we have Dunmore completely free here. As Wang bids, but Sprague collects. We've still got Dunmore completely free, and she's taking her time and being really smart about this, distributing the disc to Warman on the far side. I wonder how long they're going to persist with this. As the deep space diminishes, they get closer to their end zone. Is Mueller still going to be hanging out? No, Mueller has now gone and taken Dunmill. Okay, Warman's pumped it to the end zone, and Dunmill has reeled it in. Wow, well done, Adelaide Dragons. I think, no doubt they figured out what was going on. Dunmill just sat at the back there, took full advantage, distributed the disc, and then when her player came and got her, charged to the end zone and caught that goal.
Yeah, really, really well executed. Her defender is not in the groove of marking a player one-on-one, and so when Dunmill had her near her, she just went, no thanks, I'm getting out of here, getting a goal. Lovely job. 1-1 the start of the second set.
Two very distinct colour schemes in these teams. You couldn't get, you couldn't get much more different.
No.
The deep blues of the Brisbane Breakers versus the fiery, fantastical orange.
And a fresh white. Kat Smith gives and makes a move up the line like a steam train. Had Parsons deep, but didn't take it.
Kat Smith just looks so dangerous every time she's got the disc. Every fake you've got to treat. As Meehan pumps it long. Wow, that's a throw.
Oh, great backup by Cheng. I think Meehan was looking for Smith, who was all over that point, but it was a slight misfire, and Cheng was there to collect it up anyway. So Breakers back 2-1.
They're playing with great lightness and, well, seeming delight, aren't they, Brisbane Breakers? They're enjoying their team. They're enjoying their connections. And look, I'm not saying that Adelaide are not, but it seems very, very clear to me from watching the Brisbane Breakers. They're just, they're a group that perhaps players like Mazuka coming in, and they might not know each other, or they haven't known each other for a long time, but they're really delighting in these new connections.
Yeah, it's quite relaxing and motivating to play with players who have a really wide range of throws, and the Brisbane Breakers have got a few of them. They know that they can be hit anywhere on the field, so they just go and make themselves available where they have the opportunity to.
This Adelaide team have actually got two players from New Zealand, so Aaron Neal picking up Wellington, coming from Wellington, and Lachlan Robertson, who is he on this point? Maybe not. Oh yes, he is. He's close. He's on the close side for us. Number 41 also hails from Wellington.
Dunmore, one of the actual Adelaideans, finds Kelly up the line. Looks off Neal, not open enough for him. Robertson, big swing to Sprague. Liking the crispness of these throws. Warman, representative from Manly. And Robertson puts a careful one up to Kelly. Gives Cheng a chance at that. Was it caught at the same time? Or did Cheng get his hands on it first?
Oh, here we see the replay. That disc did hang in the air for a long time. We could see Cheng really steaming in. Oh. Was that a strip? It looks like it may have been. That's what they've agreed. So both players grabbing at the same time. Kelly, the offensive player, hangs on to it. We've gone back to Dunmore. Kelly back to Dunmore. Adelaide Dragons racking up a few throws, being patient in near their own end zone. And what's happened there? They've just like sprang it through a few options. No doubt some sort of miscommunication.
Yeah, I'm noticing that Adelaide often have people cutting all at the same time. A bit less ordered than the Brisbane Breakers offense.
Great vision there of that replayed. Same time catch with Cheng and Kelly. Meehan now. Big wide swing. Grimmond has all the time in the world to kind of just elevate and get into his hands. Cheng now. Brisbane have two players going long. Grimmond decides to hit Kat Smith short anyway. Brisbane players coming back in. As Grimmond goes down the line, a cut that makes quite a bit of ground and hits Parsons. Really attacking cut from Grimmond there from the dump position, made so much ground, and just a short pass into the end zone from there.
The Brisbane Breakers really asserting their authority on this game. They've taken the 3-1 lead in the second set. Adelaide are going to have to get this together quickly if they're going to raise their confidence levels.
Everyone on the line.
Got a very tall offensive line waiting for the Dragons. Fairly tall defensive line out for the Breakers.
John McNaughton with the pull here. The fields are a little bit shorter than the standard ultimate fields, but McNaughton's skill in pulling is such that I'm sure he will wring the most advantage out of this distance. That said, he's just pumped it a little.
Did that land in and drift out?
5 seconds ago. 2-2.
Aaron Neal here with the disc for Adelaide has got such a commanding presence as a handler for the offense. He really controls things, and when he's cutting from dump position, does so with such perfect timing. It really must anchor this entire team.
Wang on defence, sagging upfield to try and prevent the first upfield penetration. It worked. Adelaide still have the disc. And Neal's come back.
Neal holds on to that. And now a bit of 1-2. Goes across the field instead to Warman. Warman is looking at the option of Dunmill. They've definitely done that before, but across a wider swing to Della. They're deciding to be patient here, Adelaide. And there's no obvious option deep, must be said. So Spragg there, there's time to cut there. Robertson. And as the Adelaide players, they're streaming through, and Warman has got the goal now. That patience paid off.
Yeah, and interestingly, they scored on what should have been the open side. Mazuka had the wrong force on and was broken as extra insult for that goal.
That looked really satisfying for Adelaide. They were happy with that.
See the replay of that break, high release
9 minutes. Ollie.
in Mazuka's own style, executed by Lachlan Robertson. So closing it up again, 3-2 to Brisbane Breakers. Adelaide still keeping their dragony tongues flicking at the back of the break. Kelly with a low rolling pull. It's gone off for a little trundle around the field. Game advisor Mabel Eldred retrieving that one.
Yeah, so Kat Smith's going to pick this up. Her direct opponent here is Sarah Lee. Oh, and you know, a bit of a specky option there, because a lot of Brisbane Breakers players were close to that sideline, and Kat Smith had no real option than to just throw it to that streaming player.
Better get it here, Blue. Better get it here, Blue. Come on, Murphy. Come on,
Davis
Murphy.
to Lee. Adelaide rather are so deep. The handlers are deciding to just use the space and move it up a little bit. Lee. Kelly's her nearest player. Cuts laterally. Gets his hands on it. Mandy Fung is very, very deep still. Disc is with Davis. Sarah Lee again. Looking very solid at this point. Getting a lot of the disc in her hands. Oh, a dodgy throw is forced, but Brisbane Breakers, they've taken it straight away. Chen got up super high, but couldn't hang on to it. Well, Adelaide get another chance, but after the effort of that previous section of the point, they must be thinking, and well done, Davis. He managed to, even while falling over, bat it away.
Yeah, great pressure there from him, and great backup on potentially Chen going for the extra shot. Ooh, great grab there from McDonald, under a lot of pressure from Grimmond. Two stringy beans battling it out there. Great matchup. Sarah Lee finds Davis in the middle. Davis now marked by Meehan.
You got Mandy, you got Mandy.
And it's a little bit hard for the for Adelaide to find separation in their long options at the moment. Sarah Lee with the disc, and they're working it well. Oh, as Davis has to lay out full extension to grab that. Well done. But apart from sending it to Warman Dunmore, like Davis does send it to Mandy Fung, possibly the shortest player on field, reels it in, and wow, they've squeezed that. And is it McDonald in the end zone? And as I was just saying, they're really having trouble hitting some clear options deep, but they've found a way here, and just through really strong hands, yeah, as we see on the replay here from Davis, and then lovely grab there. Gets so airborne, Davis. And through to Fung and McDonald for the goal.
Yeah, taken very coolly by Mandy Fung. Quickly passed off for the goal. 3-3.
Wow, this set's really tight. And
5 minutes left.
Yeah, 5 minutes left. It's a bit of a different story, isn't it, to the previous set?
Yeah, this set's turned around a little. Dragons pull goes up, and Della's really powered down there to get the mark on quickly. Robertson's right behind him.
This is great defense from Adelaide here. You can see the pressure they're exerting on Brisbane. Brisbane have to throw a million of these shorter passes. Mazuka now breaks it open with a pinpoint hammer to McGuckin. McGuckin needlessly taps it, but still on the edge of his end zone. Wow, what a beautiful throw.
Yeah, 60-metre pinpoint hammer, not to be sniffed at. And a sneaky, very sneaky, upside down, finds Ava Mueller in the end zone for Breakers' 4th goal of the set.
Cheeky. It's so hard to do anything against, but it's scintillating to watch. Patient, shorter throws interspersed with sudden, explosive, penetrative options like we saw from Mazuka. And Mazuka to McGuckin, and then when McNaughton got his hands on it, just a really beautifully little flung over the top, but perfectly controlled disc.
Yeah, a lot of McNaughton's throws are impressive because you don't see them coming. He doesn't have a big wind-up. He can dig all sorts of different throws out, within a microsecond, which is really hard to defend.
Yeah. Brisbane Breakers do have a lot of players with surnames starting with M. McNaughton, Mueller, Meehan, Murphy, McGuckin, Matsuka. I don't think that is an organising principle for their lines, however.
No. It could be a call for a name change to the Brisbane Breakers, perhaps.
We might pose that as an option, but here we have Warman collecting the pull. Swing straight across, Mueller on the mark.
The tall handle set at the back.
We can hear the coach of Brisbane yelling to the mark as Neil, though, reaches around it, sends a disc long. Oh! What? Robertson lays out full extension, gets a hand on it. What an effort by Robertson. Really well done. And Neil manages to get the disc around the straight up active mark in the first place. Really great effort. You can see this from Robertson. So athletic. Really tough catch to try and reel in.
It was almost as if he put too much power into the spring of that layout. It forced the disc to bounce out of his hand. Needed to clasp a bit earlier. And Wang has it on the sideline, marked by Warman. She's looking for Brett, tells him where she wants him as the dump, and he goes there. Good communication. Zuka finds Simpson still in the same spot, and Mueller just keeping that one in very well. There's just a bit of a chat about it. Sprague's wondering if she was in, or maybe on the line. Unlike tennis, on the line is out in ultimate.
Dunmore there calling that she was fairly certain that opposition Mueller was in, so it looks like it's going to continue. Sprague and the Dragons here forcing straight up, and that is holding up the Breakers momentarily. But Mueller goes for it, decides...
Still can't high enough.
Oh, McGuckin stands and tries to spring from that standing position. Can't hang on to it.
Yeah, he needed a run up to get onto that one, but didn't have one at his disposal. Dunmore now finds Neil up the line, working around the back. They've got fairly vertical stack, and Warman gets free on the far sideline. Looks to Spragg, who's streaked deep. Oh, and Spragg read it well, came in, but there were too many bodies in the wave for really to attack it where she wanted to, and she didn't manage to hold on to it. No call.
Spragg did so well to even get a hand to that, as we saw 2 players there, and perhaps wasn't even in the best position initially, but yeah, couldn't hang on to it. And now Brisbane, with a mere 30 seconds left, they are up 4-3. If time goes and they have possession and they score, meaning 5-3, that will be set over.
So the Dragons really need to get the turn here. Within a matter of seconds, actually. So Kelly on the mark. Penny pressure, Zuka enough. Zuka gets it back. Big mark from Dunmore now. Brisbane happy to be patient. Oh, they've got the advantage. They don't want to lose the disc.
Spectacular lathe. McGuckin landed a little heavily and just dropped it at the last minute.
Dragons now, this is a real gift for them.
Time cap has gone now, but we're still, because the scores are within 1, we will finish this point and see how scores stand at the end of this. Spragg to Kelly, quickly offloaded to Neil. Brisbane is, Adelaide rather, in a vertical stack. Time is, and spectacular defense there. Is there going to be a call as McNaughton lays out? That was a timely defensive block.
Rosa Wang back to McNaughton, who's still managing to stay composed after a really big block. Mueller finds Matsuka. Rosa Wang's gone. Matsuka's not interested. Could either go to McGuckin. Matsuka's on a little mission, getting it every other throw now. He's gone with the upside down fake. Simpson working hard. She's very free. She gets the disc and she lays it up for Rosa Wang. Brisbane have taken second set.
Well, there you go. 5-3, because the score difference there is 2 points. That's the end of set. Time went during that last point. And now Brisbane, 2 sets to love, shall we say.
2 sets to love. So we'll see you back shortly for set number 3, where Adelaide can still claim some points in this match, and Brisbane are playing for total 4 championship points. Welcome back to the Adelaide Dragons versus Brisbane Breakers game. We are into set 3. The first 2 sets went the Breakers' way. So Breakers are playing now for 4 championship points, and Adelaide Dragons are looking to get their 1 consolation champion point out of this game by winning this set.
Yeah, set 2 was pretty close. It was 5-3 in the end, Brisbane Breakers, but it was 4-3 when time went. And Adelaide had their chance. So they'll be looking for a bit of redemption here as Brisbane bringing it in. Mitsuka with the disc. Parsons goes deep straight away and hit. Mitsuka sent it. What a lovely disc.
Nice take from Mueller. And Mueller's looking for a dump and finds it in Mitsuka after a few jinks.
Let's go, Tom.
And he goes for the upside down, finding Simpson. And a sharp flick. Taken by McGuckin.
That felt like a bit of a replay of the final point of set 2 with Simpson, was it? Throwing a nicely weighted outside curve flick for the goal. Just seeing the completion there. Brisbane continuing the form of the first 2 sets. Just smooth, effective offense, stylish, skillful.
Adelaide need to take control now, get themselves an advantage. They haven't really had an advantage in any of these sets. I think it may do their confidence wonders if they do.
Cat Smith pulling, the wind is nothing to speak of right now, so yeah, sends it high and looping. It's going to roll. No problem for Neil. Warman looks at the vertical stack in front of her, and she wants it long, medium range throw. Oh, beautifully done. Robertson centres to Spragg. A lot of Adelaide players in front of her. A lot of options here. Neil, calmly, just lofts it up, and Warman plucks it out of the air. That was nice.
Yeah, Warman's fired up.
Talk about taking control. That was really, really well done by the Adelaide team.
Yeah, taking advantage of the height mismatch there with Lirimian on Di Warman. Di standing at a mighty 183 centimetres over Lirimian's 168 centimetres. Di is the oldest player on the field as well. There is kind of mid-range at 25, but Di Woman at 42. Been playing for a good 24 years and is definitely showing her wily ways. Comfortable as a handler, but is not obviously afraid of getting herself into the end zone and catching those goals, getting the Adelaide Dragons pumped. Yeah. See what effect it has on this point.
Wow, Di Warman playing for 24 years, definitely in great form here in this match. Showing some pace, very versatile around the field.
Pretty impressive to be playing for more than half your life when you're 42. Macca nearly getting an early D there. McDonald and Wang now swinging to Mueller. Goes for a dodgy flick to nobody.
Cat Smith was looking for McGuckin. It just came out. Oh, sorry, Mueller released that throw. He was looking for McGuckin in the end zone, but yeah, raises the hand in apology. Not a bad option, but yeah, just came out a bit strangely. Sarah Lee to Mandy. Oh, just a little bit wide. McDonald couldn't grab it.
I feel like McDonald could have maybe put a bit more effort in to try and get that. And we've got a big loopy around to Mueller from McNaughton. That was fairly visionary.
Brisbane are obviously full of confidence. You know, their natural style of playing is just working for them. They don't need to tweak too much. They just need to keep going how they're going. As we see the replay of McNaughton, left-hander, but putting the disc into space. They'd obviously seen the option of Mueller early, and though the defenders made up of ground, just reeled that in really, really easily.
Yeah, and keeping going how you're going for Brisbane Breakers is throwing all sorts of options that you feel like, and knowing that your teammates are ready for them and will also keep the disc moving fast. There's no stagnant play for the Brisbane Breakers. Both teams really working through their whole roster. And Lachlan Murphy is making great ground off that pull. Dunmore launches one deep to a doubly marked Robertson, and it's D'd by Cheng, the deeper of the two defenders. Mian now finds a very free Cat Smith, who pings one down the middle, getting a bit loose now. Neil eats that up. Spragg, Kelly,
Kelly to Neil.
all having sort of stroll up the field, the Dragons at the moment, not in any rush. Robertson, one of his sleeves has released itself. Dunmore now, another lefty on the field, and an over the top from Kelly, inspired by the upside downs of the Breakers. Manages to find Neil in the end zone, very nicely done.
Yeah, neat little hammer. Perfect. And yeah, a few turns there. Breakers, no doubt, they're keen to get this third set, but as we said, they're just going with their instincts, and sometimes a couple of errors creep in. It's kind of natural, I suppose, point there for the Adelaide Dragons.
Yeah, just settling into themselves.
Okay, we've got Della with the ball here. He hails from Melbourne. Della played with the Melbourne Flames last season, making the transition over to Adelaide, playing so well and fitting in with a new group of people effortlessly. Roller pull. And we've got McNaughton going deep straight away, marked by you. It's not thrown to as Mueller has possession. Brisbane players spread wide at this point. They're taking turns almost to like run deep, but the throwers are keeping it short and working it patiently. McGuckin decides to hit Wang, and just like that, it's point over. They just have so many options, Brisbane Breakers.
3-2. Still a close set.
Yeah, we've had it's felt like a very offense-dominated set so far. Late in the second set, we had John McNaughton lay out and effect a really great defensive block. That was key for them to just nab the last point in that set. Here, it's been very offense-focused. Both teams, it is very close, 3-2 as you've just said. Both teams displaying different styles, but not much defensive pressure, or presence rather, so far.
Men taking the pull for the Breakers. And Neil collecting. Gets it moving to Spragg. Adelaide upfield are spread. Kayla Dunwell sitting somewhat deep. And they're working it through under. Spragg's gone deep. She isn't hit. Warman's working under. And then Neil has to make a big
spectacular
dive for his
grab.
dump.
All the work, that was hard for Neil, but yeah, well done. Collected himself through to Spragg straight away. And now they've made some ground with Warman. Warman takes a look. Michael Kelly.
Seems a bit more like Adelaide have some options during this point. The cutters are working really hard. Sprague's been doing laps. Dunwell comes out now. Brisbane not really applying intense pressure on defence. Neil over the top, finds Warman. Happy days for Brisbane, Adelaide Dragons, who tied up to 3-all.
Ah, look at that smile. That worked really well for them.
Crossing over the midway point of the set. Seeing a bit more energy coming into the Adelaide players' bodies. That was a really nice point from them.
It's just seeing a replay of that diving catch by Neil. He really had to work hard to reel that in. And at that point, if the disc had gone down there, Brisbane wouldn't have had a vast distance to work it in for their goal. So Neil did very well.
Yeah, important save. Della with a very high pull. Mueller gets it into play and Della nearly got a hand, sorry, not, McDonald nearly got a hand on it and now gets the mark on McNaughton. Finds McGuckin. Breakers are all moving upfield at the moment. Not a single person standing still. And McNaughton finds space up to McGuckin. Sally Hughes trying to cover the deep options. Zuka, they've settled down again now. Over the top to an easy goal for Simpson.
Now both Mazuka and McNaughton have very different throwing styles, but I think what I've just noticed, neither of them require a really long wind-up. So there we saw McNaughton throw it long, just with a minimum of wind-up, and here Matsuka throwing the goal. You just can't really see what's going to happen. Releases that scuba super quickly. The mark didn't have a chance.
Yeah, and there'd been some, Sally Yu came back to cover McGuckin when he was going deep, and so there wasn't particularly tight defence on Dom Simpson there by the end. And so we're all doing a bit of switching, trying to cover the ground.
We've got about 7 minutes left in this third set and therefore match. And Brisbane, they've still got energy despite the late stage of this match. They've come down and marked really hard on this off this defensive pull.
Good catch.
I see a couple of players being backed here, so Brisbane wary of that early huck. They're able to make up the ground on the Adelaide players as they cut forward. Oh wow! And Grimond there coming from behind and making up the ground, and with his long limbs, his long arms, but also sprang out so far and fast.
That was a superb D. Meehan now getting it moving for Breakers, trying to get a quick goal off that block, and she does. She gives, she goes, she gets. Brisbane Breakers get their 2-point lead, taking it to 5-3.
This is becoming a habit for the Breakers, isn't it?
Wow, what a D. Seeing the replay of the goal following the D.
Talk about trusting your offense, but there I think they trust the defense. You know, they weren't freaked out by the disc moving through the Adelaide players until Grimond got that spectacular block, and there we saw Meehan with the goal. Once they got possession of the disc, able to take full advantage.
Yeah, taking advantage of that up the line. As a defender, Sprague, was on the wrong side of her player because she'd been marking her. She'd been forcing her. So it's a really tough job. You have to be preempting that sort of move. Maybe needed a bit of help upfield to block off that front of the end zone space, but yep, she didn't have a chance once Lyra set off and got herself in the end zone.
We've had an offside call, I think. which means that
Well, which team called it?
so what happens here is that Sprague walks it up to the brick mark as a result of that offside, and play has resumed now. Sprague showing her power as a thrower to Michael Kelly. Pops that little one, Neil. Neil's got the field in mind. Michael Kelly sprints to the end zone. Beautiful option. Well done, Neil. That was a really clinical point for Adelaide.
Yeah, Neil and Kelly linking up again, showing that that strong connection they have. Just deciding, yep, let's do this. And basically ignoring the rest of the team, but it's worked for them. They needed a goal. So they bring it back within 1 with around 4 minutes left, just under. Turning into another close set.
Adelaide's coach there, one of their coaches, Warren White, urging his players on to big things on defence here. Della with the pull. Opts for the roller. It's rolled nice and straight. Mueller, McNaughton, vertical stack here. Cuts laterally, so Wang's got the disc in acres of space. Her player, Yu, is now coming onto the mark. Still hanging off a little bit. Patiently, Wang has swung it to McGuckin. And Wang, wow.
She is so fast.
Dom Simpson, that was a lovely throw from Wang. An inch from the ground there, Matsuka. To McGuckin. They're not worried about having to throw it a million times outside the end zone. Matsuka. And just sliced it through to Dom Simpson.
They're more than not worried. I think they absolutely revel in throwing the disc as many times as they can. They are just loving, Brisbane Breakers are just loving playing frisbee with each other.
Yeah, yeah.
2 minutes remaining. 4-6.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes left in this third set and therefore match, and the score is currently 4-6 to the Brisbane Breakers. Well, Adelaide have got to just pull out all the stops here.
They do.
Pulling out all the stops. I believe that's an organ term. Do you think that's right?
As in an instrument played often in a church.
Yeah.
When you pull out all the stops, you get a lot of noise.
You get a lot of sound and a lot of effects.
All right, let's see if they can pull out all the Adelaide organ stops. Sounding pretty quiet at the moment, but they've got the disc and they're moving it confidently. Kelly on the far sideline, back to Sprague. They've got their horizontal stack all moving. And Robertson streaks under but is not able to be hit. Woolman finds Neil instead.
Neil points the end zone saying, that's where I want to send it. Can someone please oblige me?
Woolman finding Dunmore. Dunmore looking to lay it off straight away. And Kelly was ready to go. I'm surprised he didn't look up for that.
They've got 50 seconds here, Huss, to score this goal because the points difference is
Dunmore
two,
make
but
it?
they've lost possession.
Oh, they really seemed like they had control of that offense, and then suddenly they didn't. Meehan looking for Kat Smith up the line now.
Meehan just blasts down the line. It's late in the game, but these players are not tired at all, I don't think. Murphy centres to Grimmond. Meehan, she's run to the end zone and back a couple of times already in the last 20 seconds, but gets the disc again. And Brisbane Breakers with another goal. That's 3 points of difference, and we're so close to time cap. It's about to be called. Is that the third set? It looks like that is third set to the Brisbane Breakers, and they've taken this match 3 sets to 0, 4 championship points, the maximum allocation to Brisbane, and they've got to be delighted with that. Adelaide, I don't think they played badly, but they were just overpowered by this really dynamic and very efficient and stylish Brisbane team.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely not a one-sided affair in terms of having possession on the field, but when Brisbane Breakers did have possession, they did a lot more with it, made sure of it, and yeah, 3 sets to 0, that's 4 championship points. What a victory.
We hope you've enjoyed this matchup. We've been Claire Hussey and Joy Lee. See you later.